If you really think about it, then every painting starts the same way. With a blank canvas, it's a surface of endless potential, but also at the same time, endless doubt. Before the first stroke, there's always a pause, and inside that pause lives fear. This time, the canvas was bigger than usual. It wasn't my first painting, not even close, but something about the scale of it just made me hesitate. I had decided to create an art piece inspired by Demon Slayer's Infinity Castle movie, featuring both Tanjiro and Gyu. If you ask me, those are two characters whose strength isn't measured by how little they fear, but more by how deeply they feel and how they keep moving forward anyways. But standing in front of that blank surface, the voice of fear just grew louder. I just kept asking myself, like, what if this just doesn't work out? And it's strange because I know how to paint. I know how to build layers and mix colors and guide the brush over the paper or over the surface. But fear doesn't care about skill. It doesn't care how many times you've done whatever you're about to do before. It shows up in the quiet moments, before the first brushstroke, before the commitment, and before the leap itself. And I realized something. I wasn't afraid of the painting. I was afraid of the version of myself I would have to become to complete this artwork. This canvas wasn't just bigger in size, it was also bigger in its meaning itself. It asked me to grow, to trust myself more, and basically to step into unknown creative territory. And that's where fear does its best work. Let me tell you. Eventually, I did the only thing I could do. I dipped the brush in paint and made my first stroke. And with that single motion, the spell of fear started to break. It's almost poetic, to be honest, how fear feels like a towering wall until you touch it, and then you realize it's just a mist. Each new brushstroke pushed the fear further away. The canvas no longer felt like a threat. It became a partner, a story unfolding one movement at a time. In many ways, Tanjiro's journey mirrors the artist's journey. When he faces his first real demon, he's terrified. His body trembles, his breath shortens. He can't even finish the job because he's just so scared. He feels too much. But come new enemies, he steps forward anyway. He learns to deal with all the feelings. He learns to numb his feelings. He learns to move forward regardless of fear. Not because he's fearless, but because his purpose is stronger than his fear. And Gyu, he represents something quieter. The steady hand that moves even in chaos. The calm action that silences the doubt. Painting this piece taught me that fear is not a sign to stop. It's a signal that you're about to grow. And just like Tanjiro and Gyu, artists move forward, not without fear, but with fear. But the real fight isn't fought on the canvas, it's fought in the mind. Fear itself is sneaky. It disguises itself as logic. And it tells you to wait until you're ready. It tells you that the next time will be easier. And it also tells you that perfection is safer than progress, and it's better than progress, it says. But none of that is true. The truth is simply, readiness is built in motion, and perfection is the enemy of growth. We artists often talk about technique, composition, style, but the inner world matters just as much. If fear wins, no skill in the world will matter. But if courage wins, even imperfect strokes can lead to something extraordinary. Here's the part I never expected. Fear was never trying to stop me. It was always trying to teach me. It was showing me the edges of my own comfort zone. It was pointing directly at the place where I needed to grow most. And that's the paradox of it all. The things we fear the most are often the very things that will transform us the most. The fear of a bigger canvas leads to a mastery of scale, and the fear of a different or bold concept, such as, for example, the Infinity Castle itself, that just leads to a deeper storytelling. And the fear of failure leads to the strength to try again. This painting, of Tanjiro and Gyu, it all started as a wall of fear. But stroke by stroke, that wall became a doorway. And on the other side was growth, confidence, and a deeper connection to my craft. Every artist faces this battle. The blank canvas, the self-doubt, the hesitation before the first move. But as I mentioned earlier, fear is not a sign to stop. It's an invitation. And when we accept it, when we step through it, we don't just create art, we actually create ourselves.